that, because, yeah. Okay, hold on. I'm going to start the stream.
But the senator, while indoctrinated, could not explain his toxicity.
Oh my god, these new slippers, they are amazing. Amazing. It's the memory foam. It's the memory foam.
Oh,
It's like...
he did it. I told him to open with that, and he did it. That's
I
great.
did it.
He
Yes,
I do. He must be obeyed.
I do what I want, but I chose to do that. It just seems like I did it for you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Honey Badger Radio, and this is a special Hannah fundraising stream that will be presented, though, as a Rant Zerker. We're not just doing this for nothing. We're going to give you guys something in return. We're going to be looking at a video that was going around recently. It's a CNN piece on men's issues. That one of which is a segment, which is what we're going to be looking at, where this woman, I forget her name, Ling something, she's going to be looking at MGTOW and giving her thoughts, what she took away from the MGTOW movement, the manosphere movement, as she calls it. So I'm here.
Men going her own way, MGTOW.
Yes, men going
their own way.
Men going their own way, which is not allowed if you're not going her way. So even if you don't, we haven't gotten into the video yet, but it blows my mind that these journalists and women and feminists get so angry at men that they don't want anything to do with. It's just like, well, they won't actually just leave them to go their own way. They don't like the idea that these men aren't interested in them, even though they aren't interested in these men. So
it's maybe an egotism thing.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's a weird dynamic. But one thing that I will say, because I did watch this CNN thing, was I found it remarkably fair and balanced for CNN. So, just considering the source, I actually found it to be quite...
With regards to the entire 45-minute show, or just the MGTOW segment?
All of it, yeah. No, it was the entire thing was much more balanced than I expected. It was not the Photoshop travesty that GQ put out in the wake of ICMI 14. Where they made Paul Elam and Sage Gerard look like inbred hillbillies with Photoshop, and made Crystal Garcia look like a crack whore. Those were obviously a piece that was just like absolutely 100%. If they couldn't effectively demonize us by presenting our opinions, they would use smoke and mirrors and Photoshop to make us look like a bunch of complete psychos.
Yeah.
So this wasn't quite that. And given that it's CNN, I was expecting much worse. So.
All right, before we go into it, though, I do want to point out to everybody who's listening that we're doing this stream for a reason, and that is to make sure that we can pay Hannah for doing HBR Talk this month. It's November. So if you enjoy HBR Talk, or you enjoy us, you like our dulcet tones. Are they dulcet?
No.
I mean, I think mine are.
Okay, but yeah.
You're the closest to dulcet in the whole group. Actually, maybe Mike.
Mike. Okay, you're right. We're more squeaky. But anyway, if you want to help Hannah out, if you want to make sure that Hannah is able to do the work that she does for HBR, Honey Badger Radio, please go to feedthebadger.com. It is the featured fundraiser. And if you want to go to the link directly, I believe it is www.feedthebadger.com/project/support Hannah. Support with a little hyphen. So please do that. We shout out to Hyper Chicken, who has given us $5, but so far that's all that's on the clock. please do help us out to make sure that we can continue to put on Hannah's show. And with that, I'll bring it back to Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just need to get this box away from my dog. So the story goes, okay, so you guys know. I got these new slippers in the mail. They just came right before the show started. And it was sent to me as a gift from a relative. And they're these fantastic slippers that have like... Oh, thank you. I'm going to read that super chat in just a moment. By the way, guys, it's you can donate through super chats, but remember, Google takes, or YouTube takes 30% of the super chat. So think about that when you make the donation. But thank you, Deadly Do Right. So I got these great slippers. They're very comfortable. They're like got memory foam in them and shit. And I just took them right out of the box, and I was putting them on just before I started the show. But Jojo, for some reason, thinks the box is for him. So I'm trying to get the box away from him because he's trying to eat the box. And then I will start the video. I just don't want him to get into shit while I'm doing this. So you stay there.
Have to get a box extraction.
No, because because he's gonna be shitting out cardboard for days.
That's fine. That's fine. Like dogs eat all kinds of, as long as it's paper, it's generally not a problem.
Yeah, I know. He likes his fiber. Okay, so let's go ahead and play the video. Somebody's trying to message me now. What the fuck? Okay, so we're just gonna get into the intro part. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to a place where men feel empowered to bare their souls.
What?
The internet.
Just pausing for the banana here.
Yeah, it is the place where men feel free to bare their souls because there's no judgmental female gaze glaring back at them.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it interesting, though, that they can only bare their souls on the internet?
I know, it's so weird. So strange.
So strange for a patriarchy that entitles men to everything.
Yeah, they can only reveal their true feelings and vulnerabilities behind an anonymous avatar.
Well, in a place where the ability for people to reach them and punish them for their thoughts and feelings is limited, relatively limited.
Yes.
Who the heck is typing? Stop that.
Go ahead.
Brian,
right.
No more
Brian,
typing.
if you're gonna type, mute. And how's the box situation? Is it successfully resolved?
Yeah, he's got his nylabone. He's chewing on that. So.
And the final item of business is you need to turn down your gain a bit on your microphone.
Am I too loud?
A little, yeah. You're
I can't believe that you have a dog that like you can give a nylabone to and not have the dog just ingest the nylabone.
Guys that are watching, am I too loud for you? Because the volumes that you guys hear and the volumes that Karen and Allison hear are different. Allison, you can actually lower my volume on your end in Discord by right-clicking on my face.
I'm actually looking at the volume as it's coming through your screen, and I can tell that you're peaking through your... Yeah, so I'm not even doing the... just trust me. Just turn the gain down a little bit. You should be good. All right, great. Let's do some more.
Okay.
And thank you to Samuel who gives us $10 and Jan who gives us $5. And
nice.
keep those donations rolling in, guys, because we want to make sure that Hannah continues to be able to do HPR talk.
All right.
All right.
Okay, let us continue. I'm told my volume is fine by the audience, so.
So I had no idea that there is this thriving community of men who've taken to the internet to express grievances, primarily about women. In fact, there's a lot of animosity. It's a movement that has a name. It's called the Manosphere. The Manosphere is a vast informal network.
The Manosphere is not a fucking movement. Okay.
It is just like the incels are a movement.
It's a space. The Manosphere is a space.
Mm-hmm.
A space.
It's a space. With multiple groups, some of which have some overlap in terms of their interest and all of that stuff. Yes, it's a space. It's a pretty broad, big tent.
Hey, I got there's some new faces watching. that I've never seen
Huh.
before. So that's good. I'll just give quick shout outs to the people that I've never seen before. Well, there is this guy named E1000 Advanced Proto Chad that I've seen, but only in recent videos. Then there's Ivy and Woe and Bex. I've never seen you guys, so welcome. Taryn Marine also. Okay, so the super chats, I should probably read those. Deadly Do Right gave us $20. This was back when I was talking about my slippers. And he says, I'll start us off. Finally made a live cast the first time in months. Keep up the good work. The content has been awesome of late. Love y'all. Oh, and Brian, get a kilt. Take advantage of the extra breezeway down there. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's it. The one testicle I have left could certainly use the breeze. Exploding Prinny gives us $5 and says, Brian, someone sent you slippers to chew on. Well, I'm actually, now that you mention it, I'm kind of terrified that if I take these off, JoJo is gonna fucking eat them. All right, so that's it for the super chats. We can go ahead and continue. Do we have any changes on the fundraiser?
We do. An additional guest, Silent Mist, has given us $5. And so let's do a few more. Let's do a little bit more, because I think that 15 seconds might be.
Yeah. We'll
6
definitely
minutes
keep
to
going.
go through.
I just want to check whenever we pause. I guess give a quick peek. Okay.
To men's
Pause.
views and
Pause.
fears. Consider yourself warned. These guys don't hold back.
From the bottom of my heart, I have to say, this women's movement.
Within the manosphere, there's a faction of men who are giving a stiff middle finger to relationships. It's called MGTOW.
Okay, I'm pausing it there for the banana, but also I want to say that even though, Karen is right, I watched the whole 45-minute thing. It is a lot fairer than I expected. And I think that in a way maybe they kind of have to be. Maybe completely misrepresenting us like they did back in, was it 2014 when the GQ thing came out? Yeah, maybe that's just not gonna work anymore, right?
Oh my God, the GQ thing.
Yes, the GQ thing.
No, it's essentially. I think they figured it out. And I have to give credit to Tucker Carlson for some of this, right? Because he did do that series on Men in America earlier this spring, right? And
during Women's Month.
Yeah, during the Women's History Month or whatever the hell it was, right? So essentially what you have is a situation where it's the same thing that we saw with domestic violence and stuff like that, right? That the more we pushed the knowledge out there, the more they had to accept the fact that, men aren't 98% of domestic abusers, and had to sort of start admitting that there's problems. So essentially what I think that this is a lot of what we have been doing, people like Alison and me and Paul Elam and Warren Farrell and other individuals, organizations like NCFM and Cafe, right, have been doing for the last 5, 10, 15, even 20 years is all starting to come to a point where they can't pretend it's not real anymore. They can't pretend it's all just bullshit anymore. So I think that they're having, even outlets like CNN are having to give us at least a bit of a fair shake. Even that BuzzFeed treatment that I participated in on Netflix, that episode of Follow This, they couldn't argue that there was not a problem, right? They argued that we were not the people, the MRAs, the horrible, the terrible, horrible, no good, really bad MRAs are not the people who should be entrusted to solve the problem. But the problem is actually real. That's something that they had to admit because they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise at this point. And a lot of that has to do with the hard work of people who have been maligned and vilified and treated like shit and lied about and all of those things, right?
And failed to shut up.
Yeah, and just essentially failed to be shamed, failed to shut up, failed to bow to the pressure, failed to essentially say, okay, you're right, and I'm going to go back to my waitressing job, or I'm going to go back to whatever it is, and keep my head down and keep my neck protected because, I'm scared of what's going to happen to me if I keep speaking. So
Yeah,
kudos to everybody in this movement who has kept pushing throughout all of this time. Everyone from Harry Crouch to the Men's Health Network to Stop Abusive and Violent Environments to families advocating campus equality to the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education to, a bunch of advocacy groups that aren't even men's rights groups. Like the Fire is not a men's rights group. It's a free speech and individual rights group. But kudos to all of them for keeping on pushing the issues into the mainstream so that these assholes at CNN can't lie about all of this the way they have.
Can I point something out? The kudos really goes to the people who put their name to this. Their names, their reputations,
Yes.
their careers on the line to push this out there, who take the chances. I mean, you can have a blog or a Minds account and put all your thoughts in your Minds account, your blog or your live journal or whatever you want, or your Twitter, and nothing will happen because until you put skin in the game, they won't realize that there are people who care about these things that much, who care about these things enough to actually really risk something in advocating for them. So all the people that Karen mentioned, they all have their reputations on the line. They all have their careers on the line. They all have their names out there and their faces. So that's a critical thing. Now, I don't want to like for those people who support those people, of course, you're also very much responsible for getting this going as well. If you're putting your support behind the people who are on the front line, if you're paying for the teeth, if you're the tail, you're definitely important as well. But it is critical. Like it was critical that people actually not just advocate for these things on the internet, but get out in the real world and make a real world presence that people can't ignore anymore. And speaking to that, recently we talked about this this BuzzFeed coverage of the manosphere where the domestic violence counselor down in Dallas, I think it was, said that she created a shelter for male victims of domestic violence, and she did it to prove us wrong or to show us up, like people who advocate for men's issues online. Do you remember that, Karen?
Yeah, she already had a domestic violence shelter, and then she decided that she was going to prove us wrong by including men, including services for men.
Well, there you go.
But
I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have bothered if we didn't exist.
yeah, and then she said no MRA has ever helped me, and it's like, well, because no MRA has ever heard your name. Like, did you try giving one of us a call?
Oh no,
Yeah.
we need to like divine that she exists, and we have our network of MRA crystal scrivings, and be able to be there's new services over in Dallas, Podunk in the middle of nowhere. We figured it out. Oh yes, we're going to descend upon you and help you.
Yeah, and all of the feminist domestic violence advocacy groups that fought tooth and nail against Mark Angelucci's suit that he brought on behalf of NCFM, right, in California, that essentially he won the lawsuit on that aspect of it, that these are state-funded shelters and they need to provide services for men, right? The fact that the feminist organizations running those shelters fought him every step of the way. They fought all the way to a decision, even though the entire time he was saying, all I want is for you to provide counseling services, legal aid, legal assistance, and hotel vouchers for these men, right? You don't have to have them in your shelters. You don't have to mix them in with the women. You don't have to do any of that. I just want some kind of services provided to men who are victims from your state-funded shelter system. They fought him all the way to a decision, and fought him with pro bono lawyers. So there wasn't a single dollar that a female domestic violence victim was deprived of because of that court case, because of the expense of it. So essentially, that was where we were in 2014, right, or 2013, and so now 5 years later, some woman in Dallas or Houston or wherever the fuck it was decides she's going to show us up by providing these services that, and I thought it was just, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. People like Jess Phillips in the UK, she's an MP in the UK, saying, do the legwork, raise the funds, open the shelters, then the government will step in and provide funding. And it's like, yeah, okay. How do you do that? How do you do that when the official government position is that domestic violence is male perpetrated and it's a male perpetrator, female victim paradigm?
How do you do that when you're fighting an incredible social attitude that's against recognizing men's issues, against recognizing men's vulnerabilities, because it's not consistent with their gender role.
Yeah.
And it's not consistent with women's gender role.
Not just the social issues, the fact that anybody who even takes our side on anything is vilified, and the fact that the official government position in most countries is that domestic violence is it's a male perpetrator, female victim paradigm. That is the official government stance. The predominant aggressor policies and the Duluth model are institutionalized in 38 states in the United States. And so we have this issue where we're actually having to fight not just to get male victims recognized, but to get them recognized as not being perpetrators, because that's the official government position. So essentially we're having to fight up our way upstream in a way that feminists never have. Feminists have never had to introduce the novel idea that women can be victims of men. That's never been a novel idea.
No, it has never been a novel idea that men can be threatening towards women. Are you kidding? Who the heck thinks that's a novel idea? That men could possibly be threatening toward. We've understood that as a society for how many millennia?
You look at how that's been embodied in law, right? Sexual violence against men was not a crime until equal rights legislation came into the picture, right? In the UK, rape is only a crime is a crime that can only be committed by a man against a woman. That was the case in the US until just recently, in terms of what the FBI puts into their uniform crime reporting statistics and handbooks and guidance and all of that, right? So essentially, a penis in an unwilling vagina, that has described rape for millennia, right? And this whole idea of women can actually coerce or force men to have sex as well, that's like super new. Nobody's ever heard of it. Yes, it existed in the Bible, in the tale of Lot's daughters and all of that, right? But nobody really thought it was that huge a deal. Lot's daughters weren't, the horror of Lot and his daughters wasn't about the rapes. It was about the incest.
Yeah. Anyway, so the idea that the men's rights movement, which is basically just scratching out a space for even these things, these ideas to be talked about, because they go so much against not just established gender roles, but also against institutional practices and what the government wants to promote. So it's helping women is a money spinner. That's why people slap pink on their products. They don't they probably don't even give a dime to breast cancer research, but they can use that pink to sell the product because you're saving a woman. That is a money spinner. saying that men need help is not so much. It's like the reverse of a money spinner.
It's why
So
it's why we're here right now doing a fundraiser.
But it's like, so just even being able to, without the internet, we probably would have no traction at all, because there's not a huge marketplace for these kinds of ideas. They challenge a lot of the fundamental identity that men and women have, and even just having a space to talk about them. How are you ever going to address something you cannot talk about? So the first step is being able to talk about them in an uncompromising way. And the only place you can really do it in our society is on the internet, because every other institution is locked down in this mentality of woman equal victim, woman equal victim. And there isn't a space for this conversation. Shall we listen to some more video?
Yes.
Yeah, let's play some more.
Members
Okay.
are suspicious of newcomers. They've refused to film with journalists.
Oh,
Until
what a
now.
surprise. Like, seriously.
Yeah. Until
I mean,
now.
We have, like, men's rights activists. I wouldn't be surprised that MGTOW are suspicious of journalists. That sounds like a very intelligent position, considering the situation that men's rights activists have been in. I remember Charlotte, the GQ guy, Karen.
Jeff Charlotte, yeah.
When we were being trailed by Vice, he came over to me and he was like, they're just gonna skewer you. And I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, yeah, so are you. And I didn't say this, but I was thinking, well, duh, and you are too. And this is the experience of anybody who advocates for men's issues.
I like
Advocates
how
for.
you call him. I like how you call him Chartlet.
That's how I remember his name.
Yeah, but it's actually Charlotte. But Chartlet fits his personality. He's like a tiny little shart.
Yeah,
Miniature shart. He's just like it just makes a little stain in your underpants.
Yeah, but the whole experience with media around these issues is appalling. Like, I did not go into, like, when I started advocating for men's rights, I didn't have such a negative view of media as I do now. And even when I first started talking about men's rights in the media, I talked to a more local news station called CRTV, and they actually were more reasonable than the more international, like the GQs, the Vices, the BuzzFeeds. Of course, with Vice and BuzzFeed, it's just bullshit for entertainment. With GQ, I don't even know what a gay is. Is it like just women telling men what they should look like and be like? Well, I guess if men want to attract women, that makes sense. But still, I find GQ to be sort of gross.
It is.
And it's just the entire experience of media has been, up to this point, absolutely horrific. You know that when a press person approaches you as a men's rights activist, you know that you're going to be lied about. Unless they're independent or conservative, you're going to be lied about. And the funny thing is that they keep coming up, in my experience, keep walking up and they're like, oh yeah, we'll be fair. And I'm like, no, you're not. I mean, why do they even need to say that at this point? Why do they even need to walk up to you and say, yeah, I'm going to do you right? No, you're not. Why don't you just be honest? That's what really galls me. I mean, Charlotte was probably wrote one of the worst articles about the International Conference on Men's Issues in 2014. And he had the freaking gall, before he wrote that dreck, to come up to me and warn me about Vice, when Vice ended up writing an article that was far more balanced than his. Bizarrely. Do you remember that, Karen?
Yeah, I recall that, and I didn't talk to Charlotte. He wanted to talk to me. He was like, I'd really love to talk to you a little bit later, if we can. I'm super, super wanting to talk to you. And it just never happened. And I'm glad I didn't, I guess. Like, I would have if he managed to find me later on, but he didn't. But yeah, he was just like the Vice treatment. The Vice treatment, their sort of little video that they did, right? It was not too horrible. It was not too awful. It didn't spin us as dangerous. It maybe spun us as a little goofy, right? But not as dangerous. And until they changed the title, which they did about 3 weeks after they uploaded the video, they changed the title from "Meet the Women of the Men's Rights Movement" to "MRAs Think Rape Victims Deserve It."
Which what?
Yeah, I know.
What?
I know. Yeah, they did.
But just like you might as well have changed it to "men's rights activists want to make a men's only colony on Pluto."
Yeah, no, they might as well have changed it to "men's rights activists eat baby feces."
Yeah, like it doesn't even freaking. It has no relation to anything anyone said.
It does not. It does not have any relation to anything contained in the video.
Well, I actually once during the video I joked that because we made you sing, you look like you'd been raped afterwards.
Yeah.
Which was just like the idea of that joke is rape is a horrific thing and singing isn't. So
Yeah.
you juxtapose the two things, and that's what's funny about it. You're not minimizing rape or singing. It's the
I don't know.
juxtaposition.
Singing is something that I try to only do alone in my car.
I try not to do it at all because I sound horrible even to myself. Okay, let's do a few more. Or did you want to? I heard some super chats.
I got some super chats here. So, all right. So we got 100 krona. So I don't know what that is in U.S. dollars.
60 cents.
From Moire Aliguier, I think. If I butchered your name, I probably did. I apologize. He says, donating because badgers need to eat just as much as I do. Besides, I've been a follower for a long time. It's about damn time I gave you some of my money. Don't spend it all in one piece now. And then B Rex, or Brex, gives us $5 Canadian and puts what appears to be an emoji of a cat waving. Or maybe that's its tail. I'm not really sure.
Is that an illegal cat posting, Brex?
It might be an illegal cat posting, yeah.
It is an illegal cat posting. Did I say you could post in this channel? Put cat pictures in this channel? All right.
And then I'm going to go ahead and let's pop over to Hannah's thing. We're at 270 raised already. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. We got...
Making some...
Yeah, I got it.
And another super chat just came... Oh, shit. And another super chat just came in. Sorry about that, guys. From The Great Indoors, 1979, who gives us 10 euros and says, oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the thought audit on Twitter so delightful. And while the traditionalists scream, no Walt, let it salt, let it salt, let it salt. Pretty good. Thank you. So
I had to salt my walks just this morning because it rained a little last night. And then it froze onto the pavement. And
it's a lovely story.
Yeah.
Lovely.
There you go. So let it salt.
It's inspiring.
The thought audit, I have mixed feelings about that. Just because I would hope that some of these Twitch thoughts and stuff would be declaring their income and paying taxes on it. But it seems from some of the responses from these people that shred everything, because they're reporting us to the IRS. I'm thinking that a lot of them aren't declaring their income and being taxed on it. So
it's suspicious. Yeah.
Well, I find that very unfortunate. In the sense that people should be paying their taxes to begin with, and then the sort of there is a vindictiveness there for sure. And a sweet savage schadenfreude on the part of a lot of these guys that these Twitch thoughts are going to get audited by the IRS, and I don't know, it just seems to be devolving into like just something really ugly, and not that I'm defending anybody who doesn't pay their taxes.
I listened to the Sargon and Tim stream, and aside from feeling like I was no smarter beginning when I started the stream as when I ended the stream, I think they really missed the real reason why young men are pissed off about this. And Tim sort of got it when he described how these young women could find jobs whenever and wherever that he couldn't get. He really struggled to find a job. It's the combination of experiencing workplaces preferentially hiring women and experiencing scholarships going preferentially towards women and experiencing all of the depredation throughout the educational system, so all of the problems that young men have in the educational system, and experiencing all of that, and on top of the shit Sunday being told that they're the ones who are privileged and given a hand up by the system. I mean, that's gotta really freaking piss you off.
Yeah, when a woman who's reasonably attractive can take off her top and earn thousands of dollars a month,
or just wear a really revealing top and go on Twitch and play video games. I put that in quotes. On a, like the really small screen while putting their titties on the big screen. And on top of that, the majority of people that are making her rich are men. So it's like they're buying into the system on top of that, or paying into it rather.
Yeah, and you can understand the anger. It's not just even women getting jobs in which they're necessarily putting themselves on display. They're just getting so much assistance in getting a job at the same time as these young men are experiencing the fact that their value is entirely tied to having work and making money. So you have this situation where young men have to get a job, they have to work, they have to get money in order to have any kind of hope of sexual value in the marketplace. And our entire society seems to want to simultaneously give legs up, hands up, entire boosts to young women through special scholarships, through special initiatives, mentorship programs, through just wanting to hire them more, preference to hiring them.
Tax funded, and then the thought that these women who are essentially earning a living, a good living, by displaying their cleavage, aren't paying their fucking taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and then all of that, and being told that they're the ones who gain from the system, seeing all of this, having to go get work because you're not innately valued like a woman is, and a woman can put her innate value on display and get money for it, and then simultaneously being told that you're the one privileged by society. Like, at some point that's just got to burn like a brand of just bile inside you. And to be quite frank, I sympathize with that. I sympathize with that a lot. With this, the idea that you're constantly having this your face shoved in this. And I mean, on the other hand, to be honest, I don't think that reporting these thoughts are necessarily going to do anything unless they were doing something shady to begin with.
Yeah.
These women would.
But I think there's another element there that's often missing, is that, these guys go in to gaming and they start Twitch and they build a community around being having been socially rejected, and a lot of the parameters and the criterion that social rejection is based on is women's criteria. It's their parameters, right? So it's like, if you have women who are essentially saying, ew, that guy's gross, then everybody avoids him, right? Including men, right? And he's a target for being bullied and all of that stuff, right? So they go and they build this community, and then the same women who essentially wouldn't have the time of day for these guys are taking money from those very guys. It's not the guys who can get laid who are paying these women money, right? It's the guys that these women would reject in real life who are paying money to see their their premium Snapchat with the the lewds and the nudes, right?
Yeah. And then simultaneously, I'm sure a lot of these women also embrace the idea that they are oppressed because patriarchy doesn't give them innate value.
Oh yeah. And they have, and they, a lot of them have these kind of like socialist leanings too, so that's the irony of it, is that, this event could create thought libertarians. So we'll see.
Thoughtarians?
Yeah.
Okay, I should probably give a shout out to the people who have donated. Mr. 0303, by the way, Mr. 0303, I have just mailed something to you, so I hope you enjoy that. Gives us $10. Guest Brian K gives us $25. Thank you, Brian. Stave, Stave 4 numbers gives us $10. Thank you, Stave. And CHR Mail 1, very cryptic. No idea who you are. Wait. Maybe I do. No, I'd have to look this email up. Gives us $200. So thank you, CRH Mail 1.
Nice. Thank you.
CRH _ Mail 1. Thank you.
You are the champ right now, right? You are the champ so far.
He's given the most.
Yeah, maybe
I know who this is.
Maybe somebody could top this guy.
It's Charles. Thank you, Charles.
Oh, thank you, Charles. Okay, right. So let's do some super chats and then we'll continue, okay? So Monet Allegra gives us 50 knocks and says, and another smaller one just for butchering my name. So I mispronounced it before, so I'm trying something different. I don't know if this is right. I'm just going to keep on trying. So if you want, you can keep on sending money until I get it right. Whatever. Altair Mawat gives us $10 New Zealand and says, just wanted to say thanks for everything you guys do. Thank you, Altair. And Staingo Jenkins gives us $10 American and says, question, do you think the war on boys is really that prevalent? Are we just getting exposed to the worst case scenarios via the internet, just like how feminism can use cherry picking to do the same?
I think
statistically boys are failing in school.
Yeah, I think we do.
And the gap is widening.
To the worst cases, the schools that have banned tug of war, and they now call it tug of peace, who have banned tag and dodgeball and other competitive games, who no longer keep score and all of those things. I think that the ones that have the zero tolerance policy for weapons, so they will literally suspend a boy for pointing his pencil at another kid and going pew pew, or chewing his Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun, or zero tolerance for sexual harassment. So the kid who did what I do, which is like when I hug my dad, I sometimes kiss him on the back part of his jaw, right? Like the very back of his cheek. And, so this 8-year-old boy, who really liked his teacher, and she was really nice to him and stuff. And he gave her a hug and kissed her on the cheek, far back on the cheek. And he was suspended. So we do hear about these, or a kid suspended for saying he thinks his teacher is cute, or for passing a love note to his crush in class, right? So you see all of this stuff, right, that's coming out in the news, and it is always the really serious cases that get the most coverage. But statistically, you're still looking at, boys are less likely, they're more likely to be suspended. They're more than twice as likely to be suspended or expelled. They're more likely to drop out of school. They're more likely to not go on to college. They're more likely to drop out of college even when they do enroll. And they have lower grades they have lower grades overall, even though they do better in many subjects in standardized tests. So particularly in science and math, they do better than girls and women in standardized tests, but they get worse grades in school because the way that the weighting of the grades is done was purposefully changed in the 90s, and is still changing in that direction to essentially accommodate the way girls learn and the way girls operate. So yeah, there's definitely a problem with boys not achieving, with boys essentially saying, well, school's not for me, right? And the problem, one of the biggest problems is that when you have a situation where a lot of the boys in your school are fatherless, and it's an elementary school, and all of the teachers, or almost all of the teachers, are women, and the statistics show the teachers actually grade girls up and grade boys down just based on their sex. What you end up with is a situation where boys, essentially very early on in their school careers, start to think of school as a girl thing and not a boy thing. And by the time they hit their first male teacher in grade 8 math or whatever, it's too late. It's too late to resurrect their spirit and their sense of school being something for them. So,
And I would say that I'm just looking at it from a societal, philosophical, and an identity-based scenario or situation. The fact is that boys are expected to become men, and men are expected to engage in various acts of service in order to earn value. And usually money is a good representation with how well they're doing that. This is a higher bar than girls, a far higher bar than girls, that boys are expected to obtain to have any kind of value. And we give them nothing. At this point in time, we've deconstructed. We've handicapped and deconstructed any kind of help to achieve that higher bar. And to be quite frank, it is a higher bar. If you have to serve in order to have a positive sense of masculine identity, in order to be a positive, like to be a good man, positive identity, you have to serve others. You have to put others first. You have to be able to provide and protect. That is a higher bar than what we give women. What do we expect from women except to be, I guess, generically nice? And even that, we're not, if a woman is not generically nice, we don't say, well, you're no longer a woman.
Yeah, we say, let's ban the word bossy.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot take away a woman's womanhood. You cannot take away the value that society gives a woman by virtue of existing. You can't take it away. She can't really do anything to get rid of it. But he has to earn value in order to even have a sexual identity. That's so foundational to a sense of self-worth. It's mind-boggling. And we no longer give any boys any handout or any help to attain that. We just sort of throw them off the cliff, and if they survive, well, I guess you're a man.
Well, and if they survive, they make it to the C-suite. They make it to the, if they struggle up that torturous path and make it big and end up being, the director of a Fortune 500 company, right? Then we're like, oh yeah, no, you got there because privilege.
Yeah, we can't even give them the right to their own value that they've earned. Yeah. So this is like a horrible situation men are in and young boys are in, because they're expected to establish themselves to be able to provide and protect. But if they establish themselves, if they gain status, if they gain abilities, we then turn around and spit acid all over them by telling them, you
stole opportunity.
You stole that from a girl.
From a more deserving
woman. Oppressor.
Couldn't you have just let your sister win?
It's appalling. So when I say, I don't even have to look at the extreme cases that Karen was talking about. I'm just looking at the average case. And when I look at it objectively, looking at the situation of what we expect boys to attain, how little we give them to attain that thing that we expect them to attain, to have positive masculinity. And then when they attain it, we turn around and spit at them as if they have done something against the women and girls in their lives. I'm like, looking at that, I don't even think the extreme cases that Karen brought up even contain how horrific that is. It is horrific. It's pure ugliness. And I look at it and it's like, I don't see how you can whitewash that.
Yeah, it is pretty gross. It's really awful. The whole idea of, the double bind that men find themselves in, where, women will come right out and say, even in universities, even in women's studies classes, right? Will come out and say, I want to partner with a man who is as successful or more successful than I am. But then when men actually are compelled by that to achieve at at higher levels than women do, so that they would be a fit partner for a woman who would want to be with them, right? Then they're vilified as stealing something from those women. So it's a huge, horrific double bind for men. It's no wonder so many of them are going their own way.
And with that, we should probably get back to a little bit more. I have a few more people I can thank for helping us out to pay for Hannah's show. I would like to thank Dark World Moon, who gave us $25, and Michael, who gave us $25. So thank you. We are now at, I believe, 45% of our goal. So if you want to help us out, it's www.feedthebadger.com. Hannah is probably as incensed as I am by these kinds of things. Possibly even more, since she's the mother of a son. I just look at it and I'm like, my jaw drops at what we do. And it's the way I understand it, the way I make sense of it is I understand that we're in the stage of empire where everybody's just cutting the mammoth up, cutting it all up, destroying everything. We're in the decomposition stage of the empire where shame is the predominant emotion. But we can always go forward with something more positive.
Somebody's got to do it. Okay, super chats, and then we'll play a little bit more. We're also at a 1:53, so I guess we're gonna do the after show. We got to wrap it up soonish, unless you want to just keep going.
Oh, we can keep going. Let's. I mean, how much of this have we actually? 6 minutes? Have we done even 1 minute?
We've done 1 minute and 6 seconds. Okay, Egregious Charles gives us $5 and says, IRS doesn't audit whomever you tell them to. IRS audits conservatives. Remember 2013? Thought audit is pure self-sabotage. And then Montgomery Ward's Allergies gives us 10 knocks. Sorry, I almost got it that time. Pretty sure that was close. All right, so we're going to play a little bit more of the video where this is where she meets up with a MGTOW YouTuber. I don't know this guy, though. Apparently, she didn't talk to Barbarossa or Stardust. They probably didn't want to, though. So,
yeah. Hey, everybody. So we got a special show today. This is Lisa Ling from CNN.
Hi. In an office in downtown LA, I'm joining a YouTube show about this controversial brotherhood. So, Jerry, what exactly is MGTOW?
The acronym stands for Men Going Their Own Way. MGTOW.
My host Jerry interviews men.
Pausing for the banana. So this guy, apparently he interviews MGTOW. There's one where he interviews Sandman. Or at least that's what it shows. But I've never heard of this.
So he's not actually a MGTOW, or he is a MGTOW?
I think he probably is. But I don't know. So... all right. If he interviews MGTOW, he must be at least sympathetic with them, right? So, well, and by the way, guys, if you're saying why is he green, it's because I did color correction on it so that we wouldn't get a copyright strike from CNN. So, all right, let's continue.
Who are disavowing marriage, and thousands are listening in.
In life, a lot of people prioritize relationships, getting married. MGTOW says no, don't chase. They call it don't beg, and then just prioritize all your energy on other things.
So if I may infer, men going away from women primarily.
Yeah,
right?
you could call it that.
Okay. That's what she says she infers, but that's true. She did seem to be pretty careful in how she decided to respond to that, so I'll give her that. He is a MGTOW, somebody says. Okay. His name is Jerry Liu.
So what you're saying is...
No, she said, if I may...
philosophy.
She was very careful.
What you're saying is MGTOW are lobsters.
Yeah.
What you're saying is...
So what you're saying
philosophy wants to give men the right to rape women.
Yes, to rape them. Zeranx gave us a super chat. The chime should be playing right about now. And I knew that. And he writes, thank you, Zeranx gives us $2 and says, Jerry Liu is a MGTOW. I've been following him. So there you go. I figured he was. Although he did speak about MGTOW kind of like, he said they believe this, but I'm pretty sure that he is a MGTOW too.
Yeah, well, I talk about women in those terms too, right?
Yeah.
Like I say, you know, when I talk about men and women, I talk about they and they. I don't talk about they and them and we, you know, or them and us, because but so.
Got to get those pronouns right. All right, let's continue.
Compel a man to want to be a MGTOW?
There's a sizable number of men who really had it tough, whether in the dating world or in the marriage world. Maybe they got cheated on, maybe they were abused by their wives, maybe they lost their kids in a divorce. So that hurts you bad, and you know, that translates into anger.
There was some weird editing in that sentence, by the way, in the beginning. But I'm just take that for what it is. It just sounds like it. I don't know if you guys caught that. Do you want me to play it back so you can hear it again? Because I thought there was some weird editing there.
Yeah, why not make this like
all right,
5 hours?
let's listen to this.
Men who really had it tough
to be a MGTOW.
Listen.
There's a sizable number of men who really had it tough.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Yeah. I mean, it might have just been like he was going but you know, just pointing it out.
Translates into anger.
Yeah, you keep in mind that they might be doing selective editing. Sure.
Yeah, it's possible, because another thing too is that, you know, he says that these are it kind of infers, if I may infer, as she said, that MGTOW are made up of men who have been burned and their butt hurt because they haven't found the right woman or whatever. I mean, he doesn't say that, but it is an opportunity to try to infer that, when, I mean, that might be the case for many of them, but I think there's also a good number that have just, you know, they haven't had terrible relationships. They haven't been separated from their kids. They haven't lost the house in the divorce. They haven't experienced all that. But maybe they're just like, you know what? This is not, like, I've seen this happen to people I know, or I've heard about it on the news, or I see what the divorce rate is, and I don't want to take that risk. You know, I know that getting married, or even being in a long-term relationship, or maybe not even that, is essentially, we live in a society where there is a gun on the table and only the woman can use it if she wants to, and the man is basically just tied to a chair and he's hoping that she doesn't use it on him. And maybe, like, people, like, it's not just with the divorce rate either. Like, look at, like, Mark Pearson. I mean, he didn't even know the woman, and he had to go through all this shit. And that's not an unusual story. Look what happened to Kavanaugh, you know? So it's like, it's not just the risks of divorce. It's not just the fact that you could lose your children. It's not just that, you know, you could be molested by a teacher or caregiver. You could be accused and sent to prison. And you know, there's just so much that I can understand why men would want to protect themselves. And
well, it's like that Redditor named Whisper, who had that. He has an iconic comment that he left years ago on Reddit, explaining to a woman, you know, why men would avoid women. And he just described a hypothetical scenario in which a man can be just completely, absolutely wronged and screwed over by a woman with the system's help, and it closed with the sentences, with the paragraph, when a man rapes a woman, the system does what it can to help her and acknowledges she's been wronged. When a woman rapes a man, the system is the instrument she uses to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so here's interesting. So we have a screen, and it's what the fuck, dumb bitch. Okay, do we really want to play the game of who's publishing more insults? MGTOW against women versus feminists.
Should we get into Clementine Ford and all of these other people? You know, why can't we hate men and blah blah blah?
And fuck boy is their newest thing. Fuck boy.
This random poster, anonymous dude on the internet that wrote this 5-letter sentence, that's the guy we need to look at that. Not the academics, not the politicians, not the people in the entertainment industry that are just saying crazy shit and they're not losing their jobs. No, we got to look at this anonymous post by this person that wrote 5 words.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
well, here's the thing. Why don't they ever judge the people, what people say on the internet, by whether or not those people are actually putting skin in the game?
Right.
At least go to somebody who's willing to put their name to what they say and say, okay, well, and then judge the movement by them as opposed to randoms. I mean, that would be a huge step forward for journalistic integrity. But who knows? Maybe she's going somewhere completely different. So let's listen.
That anger spills out into comments, posts, and videos. It's propped up a new wave of YouTube stars.
You and I, we have the penis and we go, enough of this bullshit. Women are not that smart, period. Arguing with a feminist bitch is the same as arguing with a pig.
Pausing for the banana, but
Big John.
Big John, yeah. He's a MGTOW guy. Okay.
Right.
So he puts it out there.
He doesn't pull punches. He doesn't tap
beat around
dance
the
around
bush.
the point.
Nope, doesn't beat around the bush, so to speak.
Well,
he beats the bush.
Level, a while back, I put out a tweet because I have a little Siamese snowshoe cat named Mojo, and I put out a tweet in which I showed Mojo dumping my vitamin D on the floor. So I had a counter, he was on it, and he just sort of fished it out with his little mitten paws, dumped it on the floor, and I picked it back up, put it back on, and he dumped it again. I'm like, why are you doing this? And I said, this is what it's like to argue with feminists. It's just, it's just this repetitive. You pin them on one thing, and then they just squeeze out the side and start with something completely new. Sometimes it's just bizarre. Like I mentioned something, and it's like they spun a kaleidoscope in their brain, and they said, "Are you accusing me of lusting after Michael Flood and wanting to bear his children and having anal sex with him?" And I'm like, "What? I just said that you are Michael Flood's charms appeal to you as a presentator. I didn't mean that you want to have this torrid affair with him. Where the hell did that come from?" And I don't even know. It's just like I input something and they spin the kaleidoscope in their brain and output this thing that bears only a small fraction of resemblance to what I just said.
Yeah,
for example.
Well, yeah, no, and they'll move the goalposts, and so when this is one of the things, I left a big long comment about feminist rewriting of history, right, on a Janice Fiamengo video. I think it might have been her on Dave Rubin. But it was a big long comment about how feminists rewrote history, and I had found years ago I had found a medievalist's blog, right? So a medieval historian who had essentially debunked some of the myths, right? It's kind of like if future generations got their idea of how normal average people lived by looking at reality TV. So John and Kate +8, everybody has a set of quintuplets and a set of triplets, right? Or the Octomom, right? That we're all billionaire CEOs, right? That soap operas, right? So we're all leading industrialists, who are super rich, but still have time in the day to leave the office in the middle of the workday to come home and talk about how our daughter might be marrying, her half brother that she doesn't know exists and crap like that. Right. So basically the stories that get told are the exaggerated stories, right? And so a lot of people have based their idea of history on, that one woman who had 27 children, right? Or the 14-year-old girl who was married off to an 80-year-old man, 500 years ago or 800 years ago or whatever, right? But when you actually go and you look at church registers, you find that the average age of first marriage for women was 19, and for men it was 21, and that the average number of pregnancies a woman had was 5, and the average number of kids that lived to adulthood that a woman had was 3 during the medieval period, right? That was typical. So it wasn't this whole thing where, these 14-year-old girls are being married off to these much older men, and then they're brood mares for the rest of their lives, just pumping out babies one after another, right? That was not typical, right? And but that's what we believe because of the way that these things are presented, right? And so you get famous for having 18 kids, right? And that gets reported on, and then that goes into the sort of the historical register rather than the statistical register. And then somebody comes up and says, well, that would depend on class and and all kinds of other things. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not saying that it doesn't depend. I'm saying that that's not what we're being told. Was the average person, the average woman's life was not the average woman's life. We're being told the average woman's life was being sold off to some freaking 60-year-old pervert at the age of 14 so she could become a broodmare for the rest of her life. Right? That was not the average woman's life.
No. And then they also miss a lot of the informal economy that women were in charge of. But I want to point out that we're still doing the fundraiser. We're at 49%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have $5, $10, $25, put it in there. It all counts. It all helps. I want to thank DS for the latest $25. We've sort of stalled out a little bit. So please, guys, put some money in the hat for Hannah, because she does great work. Her style is very much needed. Very, very, what's a good way of describing it? Like being run over by a steamroller?
Analytical,
but driving, drive-analytical.
And she's really good with the, looking at the legal stuff, looking at the history of stuff, looking at, she's got the heart of a journalist, like a real one. Not like the one we're looking at, but like a real one.
Well, shit, who knows? Maybe this woman pulls something interesting. I mean,
it's
you guys
CNN.
said that wasn't too bad. It's not too bad for CNN. So
Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. All right.
So go right now to feedthebadger.com and put like $5 in the hat, $10 in the hat. Make sure Hannah gets the support she needs to continue to do her work. And once again, that's feedthebadger.com. Please don't put it through super chats, because we don't actually. I mean, YouTube takes a lot, and then they also play weird games where, I don't know, if you offend them, they don't send the money to us.
Yeah, if you put something offensive in the super chat, they'll just donate it someplace else. So it's I appreciate them. Maybe is there a way to like tie a message to the donations at Feed the Badger? Because then you could read them out over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to make a comment, just do it that way. Yeah,
just go to Feed the Badger, put some money in the hat. I will read all of your comments. It's all very appreciated. We sort of stalled out here, so even $5 would be great at this point. All right.
All right, so I got super chats real quick. Exploding Prinny says the war is over. It says the was is over, but I think you mean the war. Master Etna made the Princels play Battlefield 5 and the Pigtails play Fallout 76. We're all too depressed to fight, dude. Dude spelled with 2 O's, because that's how Prinnies do it. B-Rex, again, Brex gives us $5 Canadian and posts another cat. Speech Control Waterfowl, number 173, gives us $2 Australian and says, right? Okay, so let us continue looking at Big John.
As men are involved in a war. It is a battle of the sexes. And your head on a platter and your nuts in a vice is what the enemy wants.
Thank you. Today, I'm jumping into the lion's den.
I'm pausing. I'm just pausing for the banana.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, she's actually pretty courageous in terms of, just like Cassie was, in terms of sitting down with Paul Elam, because I'm sure she I know Cassie was actually quite terrified, and probably was even more terrified when she met Paul, because Paul is like 7 feet fucking tall. Big John is pretty big. He's a pretty imposing guy physically, and so I got to give this woman credit for actually sitting down with him. So,
okay.
You know, people are gonna say, "Oh my God, how could you sit on the same couch as that John guy? Such a jerk."
This is Big John. He's an icon in the MGTOW universe and a declared enemy to feminists like me. You seem to have a fundamental aversion to women. I've seen some of your videos.
Wait a second. Okay, but you haven't established this fact. All you've established is that he has a fundamental aversion to feminists.
Yes, but no, women.
That's dishonest. That is dishonest.
She's asking him a question and inviting him to answer it. So
okay, all right.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a little bit of like how it's framed for the audience. They can be like, "Oh my God, that guy doesn't like women," but he's laughing. But it's not like Sachi Cool, you know, or Karen's interview with Sachi Cool. So
have essentially declared war.
Oh wow!
Against women.
No, he didn't. He said that we're in a war. He didn't declare war, to my knowledge. I haven't seen this video. And if he had declared war in a video, that clip would have been in here. I'm fairly certain. Instead, he just said we are in a war, which I mean, I don't know if war is the right way to put it, but yeah, I think so. A culture war for sure. And that involves the sexes. Actually, I think that's at the center. It's at the epicenter of the culture war is the struggle between men and women. But anyway, that's just what I think.
Where did that aversion come from?
How to describe this? You feel trapped, you feel confined and held back. You feel manipulated and controlled by women and how they operate.
So you believe that women are out to control men?
They can be.
No, they, yes. That's, of course. I mean, not all of it's bad, yes, but they're all doing it. Yeah, that's how women get everything done. It is.
What do you think that you're doing when you say, well, don't mansplain, don't manspread? Like, seriously, you are out to control men.
Or when you say, is it cold in here? I mean, just like anything, right? I'm hungry. Are you hungry? Like that, you know, like, yes, all of it is in some level. It's just a matter of how much you take, and feminists take as much as they possibly can. It is what women do. It's what women have always done.
Well, the basis of feminism is this idea that society should be judged by women's benefit and only women's benefit. That's what it was coined to refer to. If you're going to judge a society by only women's benefit, that means that men are sort of excluded from being considered the center of the moral center of society. Well, what do you think? Who do you think that moral center is going to be controlling? Okay. If you're going to say women's benefit is the moral center of society, society should be judged by it. That means that moral center is going to be controlling the actions, behaviors, aspirations, and goals of someone. It's not going to be women because their benefit is centered. It's going to be men. This is like I don't even know why he hesitated or even was like, maybe some women.
Yeah.
Flat out, slap the fucking trout.
That's what I'm saying.
The fucking table.
Yes, of course they do. This is how it's always been. Like, I would just put it out there. You don't think women have power over men? You don't think that that's a thing that's real? Of course it is. Like, you're in here on this couch right now because you have been able to get everybody here, like, to get you here, to help you get on this couch with me. That it takes some influence to do that, right? So,
well, yeah, I mean,
obvious.
And the fact that your subject is being like, oh my God, men are upset that women are controlling them. Like, do you realize that? Let's reverse that. Let's imagine you're a man talking to a MGTOW. Oh my God, women are upset that men are controlling them. You've just defined feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're just like, oh my God, you guys are like me. How dare you? Like,
Yeah.
is there any introspection here? Okay.
No.
Okay, moving on.
I believe there's an overreaching feminist agenda that has affected society for decades.
Sorry, but feminism itself is overreaching. You don't have to say it's overreaching feminism. You can just say it's feminism. You can just say that. I know what he's doing. I know what he's doing. I think he's being. I don't know the guy's opinions, but if you were in a setting where you had to talk to a feminist that claimed to be one of the good ones, you'd probably feel the need to say, okay, so there is a brand of feminism that overreaches, and I'm going to basically say I'm targeting that. But the truth is, you have to let that go. Let that go and just say, no, it's just, feminism is cancer. Deal with it,
To me, feminism has always meant striving for equality. I've never heard anyone say that.
All right, my friend.
Equality.
Okay, my friend. All right, feminism is about striving for equality. Well, knock, knock. Who's there? Hi, it's me. I'm going to audit your equality taxes, feminism, because that's my right. I'm going to go through your books and decide whether or not you actually are for equality. Or what do you mean? What do you mean when you say that feminists are for equality? Do you also mean that feminism gets to define what equality is? Because that is tyranny. You don't get to advocate for equality and then define what it is, because you can define it in whatever way you want and then shame anyone who says, well, wait, are you actually creating equality, feminism? Let's look at your track record. Let's look at your books and see if what you're creating is actually equality. You don't get to shame me for doing that. You don't get to shame me for questioning on whether or not you actually have created equality. Because let's imagine you are an institution that gets to say that they are about creating equality, but you never have to actually show that you have done so. And then you get to define whatever equality is. Oh, we fix roads. Well, what about this pothole? Well, we define that as a fixed road. Sorry, fuck you. And by the way, you're a misogynist for pointing out the pothole. Would we tolerate this with any other government institution aside from the institution of creating equality? And feminism is a government institution at this point. You are paid for by government taxes. You are in the academic institutions that are paid for by government taxes. You are a government institution declaring itself for equality. The government institution for social equality between men and women. Except you go out there and you do whatever the fuck you want and you tell everybody who pays for you that we cannot criticize you. Because if we criticize you, we are sinners or some shit. Well, fuck, that doesn't fly with me.
All right. Me neither.
We got a super chat from Caleb Land for $19.99. He says, thanks. And we are at 54% of our goal. So, let us play this. Actually, after this interview, then there's nothing else to see, really. So we can, end it here. Okay?
All right. Okay.
There was this concerted effort to try and control men. Have you ever worked for a woman?
Yeah. Right now, you could say I'm a co-worker with women.
And what's that like?
It's fine. Yeah. They've earned their position there. My problem comes when they get in your personal life. Now you've introduced a level of threat. I think
Just pausing for the banana.
Well, yeah, if you're going to give women all of these all right, I'm going to talk about something that happened within my family. I have a male relative, a young male relative. And this is his story about the power that women have. He had a girlfriend. I don't know if she was an ex-girlfriend when this happened, but he had a girlfriend and he was paying for her cell phone. Stupidly, but it happens. He was paying for her cell phone and she kept racking up $500,000 charges on her cell phone. So one day he confronted her about it, took the cell phone away from her, not violently. He just took the cell phone away. She kicked him in the balls And while he was writhing on the ground in agony, she called the police on him and said that he was abusive. They picked him off of the ground, shoved him in their car in the back of their seat, and on the way to putting him in jail, they realized he might be dying. So instead of throwing him in a jail center, thankfully, at some point they realized that his screams of agony might indicate that something is severely wrong. Otherwise he might have just died in the jail overnight. But they took a little bit of mercy on him, a little pity. They took him to the hospital where he found out that she could have actually sterilized him and that his life was in danger because of internal bleeding. Now, guess what happened to the charges, the domestic violence charges? Well, they were upheld against him. So she left him writhing in the floor in agony, dealing with something that is potentially sterilizing and almost killed him or could have killed him. And he's the one who was charged with domestic violence.
For taking away the phone that he was paying
for. Taking the phone he was paying for. This is what he's talking about. And I guarantee that most of the people listening have a story like this. I guarantee that almost everybody in the West knows a boy or a man who's gone through something similar to this. But we're all under this collective delusion that somehow women don't have power and don't control anything. It's madness. And this is the kind of madness that liquidates societies. This is what we're facing. And nobody is not enough people are waking up to it. I guess some people. I guess we started this off and we said there has been progress. Yes, there has been progress. But it's unbelievable that this is something that's still astounding to this woman.
Oh yeah, no, I'm amazed too. The idea of her being just absolutely shocked at the idea that men could be vulnerable to women in some way, and in ways that, because women have the backing of the state in almost every kind of conflict between a man and a woman. So, when I revealed at work what I was doing. When I was still working at the Tony Romas, there was a manager there. She had 2 sons, and she came up to me and said, "I heard about what you're doing, and I just wanted to thank you." And she gave me a hug, and she was actually getting quite teary. And she told me about at her last job, managing a restaurant. One of the cooks would show up all the time with bruises on his face, claw marks on his face and neck, right? And his wife would often come and pick him up, and she said that this woman never had a mark on her. And there were times when he would just not show up for work. And 3 days later, he'd phone and say, "I'm sorry, I was in jail."
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be like, "Why?" And he says, "For domestic violence." And she's just like, she was just blown away. And she's from Mexico, right? She was blown away that a man who came in with injuries, by the time one was healed, there was a fresh one, right? And he was the one consistently being arrested. And so she would always give him his job back. She wouldn't ever fire him for that. But then after a while, right after about 4 months, she took me aside and she said, "I was so upset. I was so emotional when I found out what you're doing, right? And it's because my son, right? When I found out what you were doing, my son, he was 18 at the time, and he had a girlfriend, and she cheated on him, and he went into a Tim Hortons and saw his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, he'd broken up with her, saw her with the guy that she'd cheated with, and called her a slut in front of some of their friends. And then she started this campaign of phoning him and leaving voicemails and emailing him and leaving text messages, and it went back and forth, she said, from crying, I want you back, please have me back, and then to fuck you, I hate you, never talk to me again, blah blah blah. And she said he never responded to any of it, right? But then all of a sudden the cops come and arrest him for criminal harassment, right? And she said that he never told her about any of this stuff until the cops arrested him. And then, he spills his guts, and she's like, why didn't you tell me this? And he's like, well, because I just didn't know what to do. I didn't feel comfortable sharing it. It was just a weird thing. And she's like, okay, well, it's not going to be a problem because you saved all of these emails and these text messages and these voicemails and everything. It's not going to be a problem. But apparently the prosecutor had decided to pursue him for felony harassment charges. So not even a misdemeanor. Or they got a defense lawyer, and the defense lawyer said, oh, this is going to be a misdemeanor. It's not going to be a problem. It'll be cut and dried, no worries. And then he gets the actual file, and he's like, oh fuck, they're going after a felony. We could actually be in trouble here. And it was like a 6-month battle to get the charges dropped. This young woman said repeatedly that, on this date he was parked in his mother's car in front of my house, staring at me through the windows and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, no, I was actually working until midnight on the other side of the city, and had my car with me, right? Like, so I mean, like the entire thing was just it was totally fabricated, right? But she was like, we had to go through that. We had to spend $25,000 on a lawyer to deal with this. Right. And then it went to a preliminary hearing, and the judge said, this is bullshit, and dropped the charges. Right. But she was like, if he hadn't saved every one of those voicemails and text messages and all of that, right, he would have been boned.
Yeah.
Right. And she was like, that was my son going through that. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Wow. Yeah, I have stories too, but I don't think we have time because I could tell you multiple stories of crazy shit. But so yeah, Allison's on the money, and people in the chat were also repeating. They were saying that they also have experienced stuff like that, either personally or through someone else. So Tyler Preston gives us $5 and says society is willing to bend over backwards to the demand of dumb thoughts like Sam Maggs. Sam Maggs works in the comics industry. She's part of the Comicsgate business. But yeah, this is everywhere.
Eerily realistic. Eerily realistic. Remember that?
Yep.
The rape mods in
yep, that's right. That's
GTA
right.
5, right? And Sam Maggs was interviewed for that.
That's
Sam
right. That was Sam Maggs. Yes. Okay, let's continue.
Wait a second. I had to leave for a second. You guys are talking about Sam Maggs?
Well, we're done.
We want to GTA 5.
The story of the mod that lets you hump people in GTA 5 without
with a traffic on your head.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, no, I know. Okay, not worth talking about.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna finish my anecdote. Like, apparently, my male relative met up with this girl after all of this shit had happened, and he told her about what had happened, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that had happened." I'm like listening to this, and I'm thinking, this society is honestly going to give these sweeping legal powers to people that it won't hold to any moral standard, and it expects that good things to come of that. Like, that's going to be sustainable. Seriously,
that's not a moral hazard at all.
No, that could be totally sustainable in our society. We'll give all of these sweeping legal powers to women, not hold them to the same standards that men are held to. And that's a statistical fact. We don't give them the same criminal sentencing. We don't see them as violent in the same way as men are.
Yeah.
We just don't do it. And a good luck maintaining a society in which half of the people are held to a no moral standard and yet have sweeping powers over the other half. And that's the half that's actually producing everything. That's, producing more than they consume over their lifetime. Another statistical fact. Men produce more than they consume. They pay more into the government than they take from it over their lifetime.
Yep.
Oh.
Okay. Let's move on. So he's talking, just as a reminder, he's talking about women. He's worked with women. He doesn't have a problem with women in the workplace if they earn their place, which is what he said. The people I work with have earned it. He has a problem with them getting in his personal life because they create problems. Okay.
It's more covert than overt. I see a lot of raised fists, down with patriarchy, right? Well, that's down with men.
I don't think it's down with men. It's down with men making decisions about women and on behalf of women, because women should be able to make decisions on their own.
Okay.
Okay, then you're saying that none of your decisions impact men? Like, that is the most repulsive thing to possibly say. Either you think that women are so ineffectual, none of their decisions have any impact on the people around them, or you just don't care. And men should just accommodate to whatever the end result of those decisions. How does her brain form that thought? Like, that's what's remarkable to me.
I can totally understand the idea of saying women should be able to make decisions about their own lives, in terms of, within reason, within societal bounds. Women should be able to have careers. Women should be able to, speak freely in public. Women should be able to wear what they want. Those kinds of decisions. Women should be able to decide whether to get married or not. Shouldn't have their parents dictating that, even though it was not just women's parents who dictated marriage; it was men's parents as well. But women should be able to make decisions for themselves, sure, right? But that's where we're at now, right? That's where we're at now. We've been at that place for a while, and right now, what the feminists want is not for women to be able to make their own decisions.
Mm-mm.
It's for women's decisions to be cost-free.
Yes.
Right? So abortions should not only be free, they should be as convenient as a haircut.
Basically, they want to give them all the freedom, none of the responsibility. No accountability,
So
no possibility of negative consequences. Not just legal or financial, but even cultural. They want no judgment, nobody to have an opinion on what they do. That's, to them, is complete liberation. And the only way you can do that is to subjugate the other half of the population. And the women,
the only way you can afford that.
Yes.
Yeah, subjugate the other half of the population. So
she wants to be able to.
She wants to be able to have a free abortion paid for by the government, right? That's as convenient as a haircut, because she shouldn't have to make 2 trips to the doctor, and she shouldn't have to be subjected to reading material on the risks of abortion. But she should also be able to carry a baby to term and have that baby subsidized by the government up to age 18, not just in terms of welfare, but in terms of the government expenditures that are made in extracting, and all the red tape in extracting child support from the man she holds responsible, who does not have any rights at all to that child other than the ones he seeks at his own expense and might be granted by a court of law. So essentially what she wants, right, and what feminists want, is they want all of their choices to be subsidized. They don't want the freedom to make those choices. They want all of those choices to be subsidized, to be cost-free, to not have any negative potential consequences, to have any kind of costs associated with them.
Mm-hmm.
When I decided to stay at home with my kids when they were small, right, I knew I was giving up a significant portion of the family income, and I knew I would have to make adjustments in order to, and we were working poor. I had 2 stepsons and 2 small children under age 5, right? And my ex was making $25,000 a year, Canadian. $25,000 a year, which would be about $18,000 a year at that time in American money, right?
Yep.
And I pinched pennies and I clipped coupons and I freaking bought in bulk and I cooked from scratch every day and I rescued furniture and reupholstered it with bargain priced 1/3. You know, the 3 meters for the price of one sale at Fabricland, right? All of those things, right? I did all of those things to make it possible for me to stay home with my kids and us be able to make our budget every month. And so, because my choice to stay home had consequences, and yeah, like we couldn't live the lifestyle we lived before kids, um,
She
particularly
wants
staying home.
she wants the ability to choose whatever she wants on the menu and have him pick up the pen. At this point, pick up the bill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it is. No, regardless of his financial situation, she wants to be able to choose whatever she wants on the menu and have him pick up the bill. And that's the thing. It's like she's saying this like, I want the right for women to make their own decisions about their lives. Well, to say that, you have to either say that women's decisions about their own lives affect no one else preferentially who are a part of their lives, which they do, or that the people who are part of a woman's life should take the cost of those decisions, because you already have the right to make all the decisions you want about your life. Now you need the obligation to take the consequences, like Karen was talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's talking about, presumably.
If you want the abortion, cough up the $500.
Okay.
Well, that's just well, we'll see what his answer to his question is, because people are asking about that. So let's see his response.
Okay. Got no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now I think this is the end of the interview, but this was very short. Remember, they probably talked at least
90 minutes.
Yeah, like an hour and a half, right? And this is what they got out of that. Because I think that they're done talking. Now, he's basically saying if they want freedom, I don't have a problem with that. And then that's where they end it. But for all we know, after that, he probably said, but, freedom comes with responsibility. Freedom comes with risk. If he is, if he knows his shit, if he's actually red pilled. Now, I saw someone in the comment section, I just want to say, that said, that they didn't think that Big John, at least in the interview, was a good representative of MGTOW. Here's the thing that you guys have to take into consideration. In the beginning of the video, she says that most of the MGTOW she reached out to didn't want to talk to her. So these are the guys that did. So it's not like she... and she may have talked to others and then she found that, those conversations weren't useful. It's possible. But just bear that in mind, She did try to reach out to others, and these are the guys that apparently she was able to talk to, which was just the two dudes. And for all we know, those were just the only two. There could have been others she spoke to, but those were the only two that she could use to make a video. So, super chats. Egregious Charles gives us $5 and says, if X walks away from a system and Y tries to shame X back into it, Y is trying to control X by definition. They are trying to control MGTOW men. Absolutely. I was saying that already. When she says, why, are you actually trying to say that women, that feminists want to control men or that women want to control men? Yeah, they are. That's the answer. I mean, you're here right now.
Well, if you have a problem with MGTOW, then that's what you want.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
You don't even want them.
them.
It's just like I said before. They don't even want to date. You don't even want to date these guys. But you just want to make sure that they're around in case you decide at some point in the future that you need beta bucks. Who knows? Maybe it'd be nice to have more people around just in case, I guess. Because I don't know any other reason for it. I mean, it's not like these guys aren't paying taxes, so you're getting their bucks anyway. Anyway,
Okay.
moving on.
I just want to say one thing. Yeah, she's trying to control men, and that's all feminism does. Is actually a tool for controlling men. What else are you? What else are you doing with your entire movement? Except trying to change men or make men do this or this other thing. or lobby male politicians. That's all you do. You're not exactly building the society you want to see. You're just trying to tell men what to do, and you're trying to control them.
Yep.
Speaking of telling men what to do, oh God, that was a terrible segue.
No,
I know we're gonna. This video, because of the subject matter and the fact that we're fundraising for Hannah. This is going to be like there is going to be taken out of context, and they're going to be like, "Oh my God,
we're sticking up for MGTOW.
Money badgers. Yeah, we're sticking up for MGTOW, and I'm also sticking up for Hannah because I think her work is really good and really important, really to get out there, because she is analytical and she's direct and she does not pull punches. And I'm sure she would agree with a lot of what we're saying about women's responsibility and women trying to control men, and also feminism. So if you like her content, please do go to feedthebadger.com, put a few shekels in the hat. I want to put a shout out to Xeranx, who almost always puts something in, although it hasn't gone through yet. So I don't know, my system might be screwed up.
I'm at 54%. We're at 54%. Yeah.
And then another guest put $5 in. His name is T. Strew Man. I hope that's not your actual name. And then David S. put $5 in, and Phil put $25. So thank you all. And if you're out there, you like Hannah, you like our work, you want me to not have to do more of these fundraiser streams and actually work on my own stuff, because I got some interesting stuff coming up. An analysis of Jinro the Wolf Brigade. And if you want to see that sooner, please put some money in the hat so I don't have to devote more time to fundraising.
There you go.
Is that pathetic?
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, it is pathetic, but here, I'm gonna be pathetic and e-beg too. Honestly, if given what I'm doing these days, which involves a lot of free work, like in an hour and 15 minutes, I have a half-hour interview on some talk radio show today. Yesterday, I did 2 talk radio shows. So yeah, and one of them was at 7 in the morning, so that's quite early.
And Karen gets on some pretty big things. You were on Dr. Drew a while back.
Yeah, I was on Dr. Drew.
Are you gonna? Do you know if you're gonna go back on there?
I don't know. He said he wanted to have me back on. He actually agreed with a lot of what I had to say, but essentially, a lot of what I'm doing right now is free work that comes that it comes in fits and starts, and it doesn't allow me to have a normal schedule. Sometimes I have to get up at 3:00 in the morning so I can be coherent by 4:30, because that's when morning drive time radio starts in Florida, right? And so essentially, I see that work as valuable. I see that work as worth my time. But it does mean that I don't have as much time, and I don't have the stability to devote to actually filming videos, when the phone's ringing all the time, or when I never know what my schedule is going to look like from day to day. It's really hard to plan for production of videos and stuff like that, and get the clear headspace that I need for that. So if you want me to keep talking to talk radio personalities, in different cities, different states, Idaho, Arizona, Pennsylvania, New York, Washington, D.C., if you want me to keep talking, Michigan, Minnesota, California, if you want me to keep Florida, keep talking to these people, I would love to get a little bit of change in my Patreon hat as well. So
there you go.
That would really help me out.
Someone asked. Karen's echoing.
Uh-oh.
All right. Somebody asked if there is a place where you upload or share all these talk radio appearances. I imagine that most of them probably aren't even recorded, but do you know?
Well, I did put links. There's a link roundup on my blog, owningyourshit.blogspot.com, It's a fairly recent post, maybe like one of the last 6 posts that I put up there, that has links to a whole bunch of them. But I like a whole bunch of stuff that is not on my channel but is out there, and but I haven't updated it for a while. It's sometimes hard to get a hold of the actual, even if it's archived on the, it's a lot of work and trouble to go into the archive on the radio station's website and pull that up and do it. So unless they give that to me, I don't generally post it. So sometimes they give me the link, sometimes they don't, and they haven't been doing that for a while. So
All right, there you go.
All right.
All right, let's continue. I think this might be the end, but I'm going to like play it out a little bit to see if she's done talking to Big John.
You can see that John is less combative than the online persona he's crafted. Still, I want to know where his outrage comes from.
Hello, guys. John here.
Have you been divorced?
No.
Good. Don't. It's horrible.
I'm a child of divorce, and it was ugly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's very ugly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that could not have been easy.
That's 23 years of my life. 23 years I was with the same woman. And once you get a divorce, you just lose all of that, all of the benefit, all of the good feelings you had, all of the hopes and dreams, and seeing it.
It's pausing for the banana. I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit more.
Go the whole distance. It just gets totally obliterated.
John tells me he lost most of his money in real estate in his divorce. He couldn't see his children for weeks and grew depressed.
Did that experience set you on a path to speak on behalf of aggrieved men?
It certainly put a lot of coal on the fire.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop. Well, it's good that they're humanizing him. That you're right. This is a lot more balanced than it usually is.
Yes, we got a couple super chats that came in. The only thing I'm a little bit wary of is that they would try to paint the MGTOW thing as men who are, it's a group of men that are only forming because they're hurt and not because there is, like real injustice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between somebody who's whining because they didn't get their way or because they were hurt, versus someone who's basically saying, you know what, this is actually unjust and should be fixed. And that would be
I think the way they presented it, he lost more than half of his assets and couldn't see his kids for weeks at a time. I think that they're presenting that in a fairly fair light. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super chats, real quick. So let's see. Oh yeah, Frenchinator 2 gives us 5 and says, I got a degree in engineering, but I am still not sure where to go from here. I'm over 30 and still live with parents, feel lost. Okay, well, you should pursue that engineering degree and just like make that dosh. Miles Kinslow gives us $20. Thank you, Miles, and says, hey guys, are any sane left-wing feminist YouTubers? Just finished watching David Pakman and almost went crazy. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, dude. You know what? If you want to have a laugh, you should. What? Go ahead, Karen.
I just said don't watch that guy.
Yeah, don't watch that guy. But if you want to have a chuckle, check out David Pakman when he appeared on The Fallen State with recently with what's his name, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. Yes, he was on there. Yes, he was on there.
Was he?
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That's amazing. And okay, so yeah, you should look up David Pakman and Jesse Lee Peterson, but it has to be The Fallen State because there's another one where Pakman came on and he like walked off or something. Like he just like got outraged and left. That's not fun. It's a more recent one. Interesting Tea Gang gives us $2 Australian and says, love you, Karen. Best $2 dues I ever spent. All right. Thank you, guys. Let me just... we're at 61%. Karen, you want to say something to him? Go ahead.
I just said thank you.
All right. There you go.
$2 is $2. Not gay, but $2 is $2, right?
$2 Australian. on top
I have
of
a few
that.
people to thank. I want to thank the Dan plan. He put in $50, so thank you, Dan. It's good to see it moving again. It's a little nervous there. And Ed L gives us $25, and the Second Dark Age gives us $25, and Xerinx's $5 came through. Thank you, Xerinx. You always put a little bit in every time we put the hat out for one of the Badgers. So thank you, Xerinx, and thank you everybody else. We are we're at 68% now, so we're getting closer. We only have let's see, 15, $225 left. $225 for November's Hannah support. So if you have $5 kicking around, that actually is, let's see, it's about 2%, I think, of the fundraiser. No, more like 5, right? I'm working with numbers, and Karen tells me that people hate math, so I apologize.
Well, it's not that people hate math. Some people love math. My daughter loves math. You suck at math.
I suck at math.
You can't even figure out our time zones, Allison.
Yeah, I suck at time zones. It doesn't mean I suck at math.
It's literally adding or subtracting 1 or 2.
Yeah, but
depending on the time of year.
Okay. When we were all talking with this echo, Karen, I think you're gonna have to put your earbuds in. Oh, thank God the echo's gone. All right, let's listen and see if there's anything more to hear from you.
I think we're getting close to the end here. Okay, so last super chat came in. Eric Hopper, $20. Thanks, Eric. Says, just trying to support Hannah. Her stuff has been some of my favorite stuff. Remember, guys, though, if you send it through YouTube, it's fine, but it's probably better if you just go to Feed the Badger. It's in the low bar. The link is there. Go there and donate there, because if you donate through super chats, YouTube takes 30%, and if they find your super chat offensive, we get none of it. I know that sounds like you're saying, well, I didn't say anything offensive. Who knows what the fuck that means? Okay?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
YouTube
knows what's offensive, and they will take all the money and donate it to something else. So just consider that before you send it through as a super chat. Okay, let us continue.
Yeah, it did.
Hello, everybody. This is John.
John has coped with his pain the MGTOW way, decrying all women to get back at the one who hurt him.
Wrong screen.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Sorry about that.
The echo is terrible. Karen, go put your earphones in.
I don't have earbuds. They're
All right, let's so anyway, you don't really need to see it, but we'll go ahead and play it.
Decrying all women to get back at the one who hurt him.
He didn't decry all women. Okay, all of the shit I said that. Yeah, that's deceitful, lady. That's just deceitful. And to be honest, you say you're one of the nice feminists or whatever you call yourself. Well, you've just been deceitful. I didn't hear him decrying all women. I'm pretty sure that he
kind of did in some of the video clips they included.
Does he really have a problem with women who take responsibility for the powers that they're given and don't use them against men?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't, but I'm pretty sure that some of the clips that were showed initially from his YouTube videos included him generalizing that women are essentially, all women are like that. So, and that's a common thing. And don't be skeptical, Allison, because AWOLT is a common fucking thing among MGTOW, and you literally have to behave like a unicorn for like 5 years before you're trusted. I don't even know if I'm trusted 100% among these guys. So,
yeah. It's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, Karen. But I mean, she is kind of framing this in the whole, who hurt you?
Yeah, but I mean, like, the issue is I would love it if she would include some of the facts around the institutional advantages that women have over men in these particular scenarios. The scenarios in which men and women are most likely to come into conflict, right? I would love it if she did that, but she's not necessarily being dishonest in the essential idea that he's sort of painting all women with a broad brush. MGTOWs do paint all women with a broad brush. I do occasional hangouts with Stardust, right, where we both paint all women with a broad brush. Women are like this, women are like that, right? So, you know, like taking umbrage over somebody using a generality or somebody accusing Big John of applying generalities when he routinely applies generalities. Generalizations exist. Generalities exist. You know, to believe that everyone is an exception makes you an idiot. Believing that no one is an exception makes you a bigot, right? But that doesn't mean that the generalities don't exist.
Sure.
And I'm sure he has essentially applied those, right? Because that's sort of the MGTOW game, is you be on the safe side. Better safe than sorry. Assume all women are this way until they have a proven track record of proving themselves otherwise, right? Over a long period of time. Because most women are this way. The vast majority of women are this way.
Okay, I'm reading the chat now.
Why?
And they're asking me, yes, you can send messages through the website, feedthebadger.com, and you can send them as offensive as you want. Oh, God. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, no, invite it. It's fine.
You should all call me a whore who needs a haircut.
Whore face.
I mean, Karen, you do breathe. And you know, if she breathes, she a thought.
Well, and I also need a haircut because it's like almost an inch long right now.
Okay, so you can go on the fundraiser, feedthebadger.com, and you just have to write something in the customer note. And there's nothing that anybody can do to intercept. No matter what you write, the money goes to us. It's none of anybody's business. Nobody's nose is in that. So, and I will read it out if you wish to do that. And I also, somebody says MGTOW likes Karen. I think that was the non-professional. Then there was somebody else. I hate this world. Come on, Badgers, beg better for your money. Oh man, I know. I actually do need to beg better because I really do not want. I mean, I want to make sure that we can continue to support Hannah and her work on HBR Talk. And there was somebody else who said that MGTOW do not trust women, but not most women. Do trust women, but not most women. Because there's a lot of people who are making. Allison just invited a world of pain. Oh, because I said that you can make it as offensive as you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Blank Neo says most of us MGTOWs love you. Why? Why the fuck would you love me?
Well, you know, he doesn't speak for everyone. He's just saying that.
Lots of MGTOW don't trust the honey badgers.
We almost made it. We almost made it through the whole video. I want to see if we can do this. I want to see if we can do it. Okay.
All right.
The egregious Charles gives us $2 and says, but he's reacting to the system, not one woman. Yes. Okay, let's move on.
Gender feels misplaced to me. But across the country, many men suffer divorce without bashing women. Men who feel they are victims of gender bias, that our family courts have turned fathers into visitors.
This is one of the trickier issues we've ever taken on because for a divorce to even make it to court, it probably is pretty messy. We recognize.
All right. Yeah, so it's not going to be about John anymore. So I think this segment is over. Then they go into the family courts, and the rest of it is pretty fair and makes a lot of sense. It's like hard for them to spin it, even if they wanted to, because it is stuff that, it's real injustice. And that's actually promising. Even CNN was fair, for the rest of this. I think that the bit with the MGTOW is like they were kind of saying, I get where these guys are coming from. I kind of wish they weren't so mad. Like that was a bit like they kind of framed that as a little bit worrying. But the way I see it, it's like, yeah, well, it's like you just found out the way the bed has been, that you've made this bed in this way, and this is the response. And by the way, again, this segment on MGTOW and then framing it as though, again, it's like this who hurt you thing. There is I think that there is, maybe I'm just reading into it because, so what you're saying, but there does seem to be a bit of a desire to control these men, to move them away from MGTOW. Could you please come back to the plantation? I didn't know that the shackles were on so tight. So, but I think that, again, there is some promise here. It does show that they were willing to talk about men's issues like fatherlessness and divorce and child custody and so on. So, but we got through the video.
We got through the portion of the video that we were going to. We had 1 hour slated for it, and it only took us 2, so that's not too bad.
No.
Yeah, it's actually accurate for us. I think that might be a sign of the apocalypse, as I was saying in the chat. Oh, General Bottle asked, is your comic series still available? Yes, you can also get it at feedthebadger.com. You just go down and look for what picture do I have of it now? I think it's just some crazy space scene. But it's on the fundraiser site. It's by Xenospora. And you can purchase it there. Self-explanatory.
Okay. We got another super chat from Zeranx for $2 and says, CNN covers MGTOW. In your face, PragerU and Wardell. Yeah, that's right. Step up.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody really gets MGTOW. Maybe Dr. Helen Smith. She's fairly mainstream, and she's like on the conservative side of things, but she's fairly mainstream. And I think she gets it. I think Suzanne Venker doesn't quite get it, although she gets it more than most mainstream people. That it's not a matter of Suzanne Venker tends to be, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Well, MGTOW are like essentially saying I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm not gonna do the milk at all.
Yep.
Right? Like, yep. I don't want the cow. I don't want the milk. I don't want any of it. So yeah, and I'll just essentially watch other people drinking milk online in the middle of the night and fap to that.
Sounds like white supremacy.
Yeah, do my own thing. But essentially what we have is a bunch of men who really are essentially going off the reservation, and the mainstream, I can't even understand how they can be scratching their heads right now and going, I wonder why all these men are walking away. Right? Like, Jesus Christ. How is it possible that they could be asking themselves that, given how they've orchestrated things, how they've constructed things, how they've changed the way society operates? Now they're like, oh, well, we completely have been bashing white males for the last 5 years, blaming them for all the problems in the universe, taking it out on their 5-year-old sons in schools, and making middle school boys take pledges to never harm women. And I just don't understand why men don't feel like participating.
Wait, Karen, you sound like Strong Sad. Do you remember Strong Sad? That's.
I don't. I'm just making a voice.
It sounds like Strong Sad.
Doesn't the echo sounds like hell?
Oh my God! I'm not trying to impersonate anybody. I'm just wondering what's up with all of these guys who are going their own way. They just seem so reactionary. It's like they're reacting to something, but nobody knows what it is.
Oh shit! There is no customer place
trading. All right,
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't actually. There is no. I'm looking at it now.
There is no way to do it.
I don't think there is a way to. What the hell? Why did they change this?
Well, we're at 73%. Should we go into the after show, see if we can make the rest of this?
As long as you're willing to listen to me cook.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. As long as you fucking find your earbuds. So I don't have to listen to
I can't cook with earbuds attached to me. I have to move around in the kitchen. I'll mute myself. I'll be present and listening, and everybody in the after show will know that I'm there, even if I'm not participating. How's that?
You mean you'll be a fucking lurker?
Yes, but I'll be there.
All right, I'll take it. Okay, so we're going to go to the after show in which we talk about Annihilation and how women shouldn't star in movies. This is the official men's rights position. There should be no female actresses in starring roles in movies.
Done
ever.
with it.
Ever.
You can blame Sigourney Weaver.
We should go back to the Middle Ages when you never put a woman on
We
the
should just
stage.
have men play women in movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we need more
Why did we
inclusivity
stop doing
anyways.
Why did we stop doing that? That was perfect. You know, it's just women should not step onto the stage. Acting is a men's art. Just go back, go assassinate. Wasn't it Henry VIII? Who was
Or
like,
we'll
let's get some women up in there.
Or what with CG? We can just CG women into movies, like, from now on. Like, all of them will be CG. Then we can make them look like however we want. We give them the biggest titties. Like, whatever we want.
With
We want
the greatest boob physics.
Yes, the greatest boob physics. Get Tecmo on that.
Let me just recommend Noel Plum's video that he just uploaded today where he talks about breast physics in video games. I want to recommend that. Go search it out. Noel Plum, Noel space Plum. Go and watch that, but not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, go to the after show and you can enjoy the after. Actually, boob physics. You should make it so that they can do sign language. Like they're so animated.
We can then talk to the deaf or blind or something. I don't know. But anyway, go ahead and take us out.
Yeah, actually, we're at 80% now, so that's pretty good.
Super chat. Real quick. French Neighbor 2 gives $2 and says, "Prager, you women make men civil. Marriage betters men." Yeah, that was a terrible video. Okay, go ahead.
Oh God.
It was terrible. Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of right, but
marriage does better men. It also betters women.
I mean, it's
marriage
sort of
betters society.
That women, apparently the existence of fertile women makes men more cooperative. And of course, female hominids were the ones who sort of selected for these kinds of cooperative behaviors and compassion and kindness. But the thing is, the problem is that I think conservatives get this idea that men are like some sort of empty vessel that women vomit all their goodness into, rather than just maybe giving a direction towards the goodness that's already there. And I want to thank Eric Honey Badger. I assume that's not your real last name there, Eric. I might be making a false assumption, in which case I'm very sorry for doxing you, who gives us $25. And thank you for that. And then Michael comes back with another $5 and then Sits Like in You gives us 50, which brings us up to 80. Let's just double check here. Yep, we're at 80. That's pretty good. Hopefully we'll get a bit more. I'll get Canna to shill herself, which I know is always mortifying, but meep.
Got until the end of the week, right?
Meep. Yeah, well, no, not really. Well, yeah, the end of the week, this Friday, sure, yeah. Yeah, it's 80. Like, it's pretty good. It's not bad. We only have like, $145 left?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, $145 left. That's like, 200 of you put in $5. That would do it. Actually, that would more than do it. I think that would be like $1,000. So, all right. Shall we go to the after show? If you guys want to join us in the after show,
all I want to say before we go is I stand unchallenged on my my assertion that you suck at math, Allison.
That was a joke. I was doing a callback there, Karen. Of course, I correctly said that it's $1,000.
Well, you should just go along with it then, instead of correcting her. Okay, let's take us out.
Yeah, so if you want to join us in Patreon, www.thepatreon.com, become a patron. You'll have pretty much instantaneous access. You'll go into the grease-lined Badger chute and then just into the after show with that sound. You just be right there. Or you can do the Feed the Badger route, which is a little clunkier. You have to actually get in our Discord. All right. That's it. That's it for me.
Okay.
Become a patron.
Become a patron. Join us in the after show. We're going to talk about movies. And my wife's going to be a part of it because she wants to say some stuff too. So I'll talk to you
Women
guys.
should not star in movies.
Ever. They shouldn't even be
Ever.
in them. Better seen and not heard. Unless they're in porn. They can stay in porn. Okay,
Unless
so we're
their
going to
breasts
go.
can do sign language.
We're going to go in the after show. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming on and helping out.